Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, and I don't care if Monday's blue.
Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than what I should. Yeah, Hollywood, well kiss me good. Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than...
Welcome to a very special bunch of episodes from Up From the Underground. I had been doing a lot of reviews on television shows. Sometimes I would group them, and sometimes I would just do a single show, but you know something? I'm a guy that really is a believer in organization and space saving. So I said to myself, why don't you just take all the television shows that are premiering this season and clump them all together in a week's worth of reviews and do them by networks? You know something? It was a good idea. So welcome to the Up From the Underground Week of Television Special. And of course we're going to go from Monday to Sunday with an ongoing theme in the opening line, which I'm hoping some of you have already figured out what it's going to be. So we're going to start with one of the first major television networks, The Rebel, good old Rupert Murdoch's Fox. And we're going to talk about 3 comedies and 1 brand new action drama. So the first show that we're going to talk about is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the show that nobody saw coming, the show that nobody had high hopes for, yet here's the show that wrapped up all the Golden Globes and got a whole bunch of Emmy nominations. A show written by Andy Samberg and starring a great cast of outrageously hilarious people, including Stephanie Beatrice, Terry Crews, Joe Latruglio, Chelsea Peretti, Melissa Fumero, and Andre Braugher. The show, in the beginning, I really enjoyed it during the first season, had a couple of belly laughs, and then I thought it was just Andy Samberg just carrying the show, but then the show just started expanding on the rest of the cast, and then it just got funnier and funnier and funnier right off the bat. In the first episode of season 2, it was funny as hell. I love this show, and I would recommend it to anybody, because it's so different from the typical sitcom. It's doing something that we really hadn't seen in sitcoms in a while, and if we did, it was usually something that was just seen in the adult animated sitcoms, and that's just utter stupidity and silliness. Andy Samberg leads this ragtag crew of hilarious cops who just say funny things, do funny things, add sexual innuendos, comedy innuendos, slapstick. It is hilarious. There are days where I really have to rewind my DVR just so I can catch the joke I missed because I'm laughing so hard. Probably the highlight of the show for me are 2 characters. Chelsea Peretti. I just don't know any other character out there quite like her. She is hilarious. And of course, Andre Braugher is Captain Holt. Nothing can describe the ingeniousness of Andre Braugher. I love the fact that he will say one of the most hilarious things that would make any actor who's saying it piss their pants and retake it over and over again. The fact that he manages to do it while keeping a straight face, that is acting talent. Like, I applaud you, good sir. I truly do. Guys, you have to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine if you just want a breath of fresh air, or you just want to laugh your head off after a hard day's work, even though it is a weekend show. But it's one of those little shows that is great to watch when you know that the weekend is coming to an end. Now let's take 2 shows and join them together, because that's exactly what happened. We had the landmark 26th season premiere of The Simpsons, but we also had the season premiere of Family Guy, and it gave us what all of us have wanted to see since the Jetsons meet the Flintstones. The Simpsons meet the Griffins in this Family Guy season premiere. Yes, the thing that you have always wanted to see. Peter Griffin meeting Homer Simpson. What I have to say about this crossover is, I am so glad that they did the job that they did. I mean, there are some people that said that it could have been better, but I truly loved this episode. I still have it on my DVR. I still watch it whenever I get a chance. What I appreciated the most was, while they had these 2 completely different sitcoms interacting with each other, it was the fact that Matt Groening and Seth MacFarlane, the wonderkin that they are, the people that literally turned television on its head for the past 25 years, I mean, they kept their characters the way their characters are supposed to be. I love the fact that Peter was trying to do those flashback things with Homer and he had no idea what was going on. I loved how Stewie was just trying to be cool around Bart Simpson. I loved the connection between Lisa and Meg, but I think for me, even though it really wasn't much of the episode, I thought that Brian and Santa's Little Helper was hilarious. I would have loved to see a little bit more about Lois and Marge, but I think that Marge had some of the best lines of the episode, especially when she was sticking it to Brian. I really thought that that was hilarious. I also loved all the other things that happened in the show. I was surprised that some of the big Simpsons characters didn't actually show up. Like, I didn't see Ned Flanders, I didn't see Mr. Burns, but all in all, it had some great moments, especially if you're fans of either one of the shows, or both. And of course you have that amazing fight that was, I guess you could say, Peter versus the chicken, but it was Homer Simpson, and the fact that Homer Simpson was yellow made it even funnier. Guys, if you missed this episode, I don't know what else to say. A Simpsons fan, a Family Guy fan, or fan of both would truly love this episode, and I really cannot wait for this episode to show up on one of the Family Guy season DVDs, and I will be so excited. And of course, The Simpsons didn't really have the greatest season premiere, although I admired the fact that it featured Krusty's father. I am blown away by the fact that Jackie Mason is still doing this after all these years, because Krusty's father showed up back in the 3rd season, so I give props to Jackie Mason. I'm a huge fan of him, and I hope that he, continues to make us laugh in any other project that he does. But they continue to do these crossovers. I mean, we just recently had the episode of The Simpsons where they crossed over with Futurama, where Bender shows up. I thought that that was a brilliant idea, and I think it was also another long time coming. But now we're going to take a look at one show that a lot of people had their doubts with, but all I have to say is I am really glad that this show is what it is, and that is the show Gotham. It takes place right after the murder of Batman's parents. This is going to contain spoilers, I guess, but let's put it this way. If you are a Batman fan and you don't know anything about his origin story, what is wrong with you? Seriously. So I don't really consider this much of a spoiler. But it's the story of the murder of the Wayne family, Jim Gordon coming to Gotham City, taking on a partner in Harvey Bullock. We see who was taking care of the crime before Batman put on the cape and cowl. I really didn't know what to make of this show, but this show is incredible. It's one of my favorite shows right now in all of television. Ben McKenzie, who has already been associated with Batman thanks to Bruce Timm, he voiced Batman in the direct-to-DVD animated version of Batman Year One. Donald Logue, who's one of my favorite actors, but he's not someone who is really distant from comic books, nor has he done any bad television. I mean, you probably remember a short-lived show that was somewhat successful with him called Grounded for Life on Fox, and all of you fans of his would probably remember his role alongside Stephen Dorff in the first Blade movie, and he was great. He is fantastic as Harvey Bullock, who I'm also glad was taken from the animated series, as was Renee Montoya, Sarah Essen from the Frank Miller comic book. I mean, I'm so glad that they're incorporating all of these characters that really don't play such major roles. Carmine Falcone from the Long Halloween saga, as well as Batman Begins, and you also have Salvatore Maroni, who makes his first appearance in The Dark Knight, who was originally played by Eric Roberts, but it's the villains, who are not yet the villains, that are really exciting me. The best character on the show is Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, played brilliantly by Robin Lord Taylor. He is incredible, and I am really excited to see him whenever he's on screen. I mean, I never really looked at another Rogues Gallery member besides the Joker as the one that I felt was like truly deliciously evil, but Penguin's such a very interesting guy because he's not black or white when it comes to a villain. He's really crossing that gray line, and he's rubbing his elbows with the elite, good and bad, in Gotham, and that's what I really like about him. I also love the guy that they got to play Riddler, and I absolutely love the different take on his origin story. I love the fact that he works for the Gotham PD, and he's a guy in forensics. I mean, if that's not something that the Riddler would have done before he became a supervillain, I mean, I think that that was a great little twist for Edward Nygma. And also, they gave us some new characters, like Fish Mooney, who was played brilliantly by Jada Pinkett Smith. She is a real omnipresence on the screen, especially considering the fact that she's a very strong female villain. And the only thing that I'm curious about when it comes to this show is how long is it going to go? Because Smallville ended up being a 10-year season success, Arrow is successful, The Flash is only in its first season, and it's also very successful as well. And I'm going to get to those two shows later on. But will Gotham be able to carry itself for more than, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 seasons? Or will it actually go till the point where Batman actually puts on the mask for the first time? Like, are we going to have a Smallville ending, so to speak? I'm hoping that we'll see other members of Batman's Rogues Gallery before they become villains, like Jervis Tetch, or Professor Jonathan Crane, or Victor Fries. I mean, the sky's the limit for Gotham. But I would say that if you love Batman, you definitely have to give this show a chance because I am really, really enjoying it. So thank you very much for watching the first part of 7, guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.